Service issued this warning. They did put a tornado possible tag on this storm. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning stretching all the way over into parts of Quantico and along I-95. We have some really moderate to occasionally heavy rain, but wind is always going to be the biggest concern with these storms here over the next several hours. Now, the good news is they're moving really quickly, moving to the northeast around 50 to 55 miles per hour. So these storms are going to continue to push through really rapidly here over the next several hours. This is going to move into parts of Akia by about 12:36, into Quantico by 12:43. Woodburn, you'll kind of be on the last part of this severe thunderstorm warning around 12:50. That's when this storm is going to move into your area. Now, we're keeping a really close eye, of course, on the potential for those rotating thunderstorms. We haven't seen much in terms of rotation so far, but when it comes to these kind of organized lines that you see stretching from Hagerstown all the way down along parts of 95, it doesn't take much. We're just kind of looking for little kinks in the radar that could indicate possible rotation. So let's give you a look at some of the stronger storms that we're also watching back into parts of Frederick County. That's about to move out of Loudoun County. You can see just to the north of Leesburg, but really right around Frederick, where you see that deeper shading of red from Myersville. That's about to move into Buckystown, Tuscarora, and Luckett's. That's one of those really locally heavy downpours that's packing some serious wind along with it. That's going to be the concern again as we head through the next couple of hours. Are those winds gusting anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour? That is enough to bring down tree branches and power lines. Luckett's, you're seeing some of that moderate to heavy rain downpour toward parts of Poolesville as well. So far in the metro area, most of what we've seen has just been some of those moderate to occasionally heavy downpours and occasionally gusty wind, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. But it's these stronger storms that we're really keeping a close eye on for the potential for those winds to gust 50 to even 60 miles per hour. And of course, the potential for any embedded tornadoes. We did recently have a tornado warning down into Richmond. That has since been expired, but you can see the severe thunderstorm warnings down into that area as well. So we'll kind of time out the bigger picture here as we head through the next couple of hours to give you an idea of when you can expect these storms in your area. So we'll drag that line all the way down as we head into parts of southern Maryland and the northern neck. These storms are going to be in D.C. within the next 30 minutes or so. Right around 105, 110 is when you'll start to notice not only the rainfall picking up, but those really strong winds moving into Baltimore closer to 130, Annapolis 145, and then they're already moving east of the bay by about 2 o'clock. But this is really only our first round of storms that we'll be tracking today. There's still a little bit in question because today is not our typical severe weather day. You know, typically you think of those really hot, humid days with a lot of humidity and some sunshine to help fuel those storms. Today does look a little bit different, but we'll take you hour by hour through Futurecast and you can see what we'll be really monitoring once this initial line clears out, because this is right around 3 o'clock. We'll still have some moderate to occasionally heavy rain along and east of 95. We'll still be tracking those strong storms down into Charles, St. Mary's, Calvert County, parts of the northern neck. But notice back into Winchester, Woodstock, Culpeper, Warrenton, we'll be watching really carefully to see if skies can clear, if we can get a little bit of sunshine in here before the sun sets this evening. That's really going to help destabilize the atmosphere, and that could help fuel that second line of storms you see back into parts of far western Maryland around 3, 4 o'clock. That's the line of storms that's actually ahead of the cold front. These storms are a little bit ahead of it, but we'll actually be watching for that frontal passage later tonight. This is right around 5 o'clock, and where you see the breaks in the cloud, again, that's what we really don't want, because that will act as fuel for these storms to develop. Now, I will say, while everyone is going to see this initial line of heavy rain and gusty, potentially damaging wind, the storms this afternoon and evening really do look confined to areas off to the west. So western Maryland, West Virginia, parts of northern Virginia, but closer to the I-81 corridor. This is 8, 9 o'clock. We could still be tracking some of those strong and possibly severe storms on the map. And then by 11 o'clock, as you're checking in with Topper, he'll just have a few lingering showers. The severe weather threat will be out of here. Now, the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm watch for parts of southern Maryland, Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's County, down into Westmoreland County and along the northern neck, and for points south. We've been saying this for days now. The greater severe weather threat today is into parts of southeastern Virginia, the Carolinas. That's also where the greater tornado threat is. But I will say, I do think this could include more of the metro area. I think everyone is at risk for one of those strong and possibly severe thunderstorms. I mean, you can even see that severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of of Prince William and Fauquier County. That's technically not within the severe thunderstorm watch. So just because you're not under the watch doesn't mean you're in the clear from the severe weather threat for today. I think anyone could see a severe thunderstorm warning pop, possibly a tornado warning. The risk is low, but again, it doesn't take much when it comes to those stronger lines of storms to get a little kink in the radar and cause some brief rotation. But like we've been talking about, the biggest threat is the wind, and we do have a wind advisory in effect for the metro areas up and down 95 and over to the Blue Ridge. That's in effect until 4 o'clock this afternoon, because after that, wind will taper off. That's when we see the strongest wind, but kind of similar to the severe thunderstorm watch. I think everyone could probably be included in this advisory because everyone is at risk of seeing those winds gusting up to, if not over, 50 miles per hour as we head through the next couple of hours. So this is right around 2 o'clock as those storms are continuing to push through and east of the Metro DC area, right along 95. Wind gusting 40 to 50 plus miles per hour. Again, I do think the areas that see a localized gust over 50 miles per hour will be just that, localized. Not everyone will see damaging wind, but I do think everyone is at risk to see some of those stronger wind gusts. This is right around 4 o'clock. You can still see wind cranking from the south because the front hasn't moved through yet, gusting anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And then later this evening, this is right around 11 o'clock, you can see that front moving through because of the differing wind directions. We'll still have a prevailing southerly, southwesterly wind from Fredericksburg into La Plata and Andrews, but over toward Cumberland and Oakland, wind is coming in from the north and west. Still breezy overnight, but we'll catch a little bit of a break as we oftentimes do overnight. But then by Thursday morning, winds cranking from the north and west, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. A stronger bout of wind does look to move in later in the afternoon. This is right around 1 o'clock. You can see winds gusting 40, 35 miles per hour in western Maryland. Those will continue to pick up across more of the area through Thursday night. So you'll notice the wind throughout Thursday and into Friday. It just isn't going to be as strong as it is today. Even by Friday evening, we'll still have a noticeable wind out there. But the weather impact alert, that is in effect for today. Now, with more on what conditions look like outside, I want to send things over to meteorologist Michaela Lucero. She's been keeping a close eye on Eco 9. What's it look like where you are?
Hey there, Kaitlyn. We are on 234 headed south towards Manassas. I'll give you a look outside. This is what we are seeing right now. Roads are still pretty wet. Plenty of cars still out on the roads, though. Occasionally, we're getting those strong gusts. You can feel it in the car. But besides that, roads haven't been all too terrible as we are heading into the start of the afternoon. Now, I want to give you a little explainer here. We talk a lot about watches and warnings. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch out, but we also have a severe thunderstorm warning. So what's the difference between those two? It can be kind of tough to hear those two words and separate them. So I'm going to give you an example. You've probably heard the example of cupcake or using a taco to understand, but I'm going to give you one with a pet. If you've got a cat or a dog, you know when they're about to do something bad, when they're getting into something, that's when you're watching them, right? You're watching your cat, you're watching your dog, and you're saying, I got an eye on you. You might be doing something bad. That's a watch, right? You've got all the ingredients, you're seeing them, you know they might be getting into trouble. Once they get into that trouble, that's the warning, okay? Once they get into the trash or knock something over, that's the warning. So that gives you an idea of the difference between the two. One is kind of the setup. It's saying, hey, I'm keeping an eye on you. And the other, well, it's actually happening. So let me show you this graphic. This is what we're talking about. A watch means, hey, watch out. We could be seeing these storms coming through today. And then a warning, well, that tells us that yes, we are experiencing that storm at that moment and you need to seek shelter immediately. So a watch, we're keeping an eye on it, we're watching, that's when you're saying, hey, you might be getting into trouble. A warning means it's happening. All right, if you do get a warning, where do you need to go? Let's take a look at this map. This shows you where you should be within your home if there is any sort of warning. So even a severe thunderstorm warning needs to be taken seriously and you need to move inside. Kaitlyn was telling you that the severe thunderstorm warning that we already have right now, it has a tornado possible tag. So that means really at any moment we could see that storm turn tornadic. So head into your tornado safe spot, and what does that look like? Well, for your home, it's going to be the lowest room of your home and the most interior room. So that could be your basement. That's the best bet, or maybe a storm cellar if you have one. If you don't have a basement, head to the most interior room. That could be a closet or a bathroom. Just get as many walls between you and the outside world as possible and get to the lowest level. If you're in an apartment building, try to get to the lowest level that you can and stay as close to the center of that building as possible. Now, we're going to give you one more look out at the roads, what we're seeing right now. Again, we're going to continue to track these storms as they head through our area, and if we do get any additional damage reports, myself and my photographer Kurt and Eco9 are going to head to those areas to give you an on-the-ground look at what we are experiencing across the DMV. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio. From Eco9, I'm meteorologist Michaela Lucero, WUSA 9.
Thanks so much, Michaela. And obviously we can see the rain where you are, but have you seen any wind? I think we all kind of know what it feels like when you're driving in the car and you kind of feel the wind a little bit. How's the wind where you're at?
Great question, Kaitlyn. I'm actually going to ask my photographer who's driving. Hey, Kurt, what's the wind situation been like? I've felt a couple breezes, but you're behind the wheel. How is it feeling?
It's fairly strong, gusty winds. We'll get rocked every once in a while, but it's not really constant, and it's kind of hard to tell whether or not the winds are actually like gusting or not because of the lack of leaves on the trees and whatnot. You're not getting those visual clues that you would normally get during a windstorm, but when you're driving, you can definitely feel it hit you every once in a while. And I'm sure after this line of weather gets through, it's going to get a lot worse as the weather starts to clear.
And Kurt, as someone who drives in a car pretty frequently in these storms, do you have any words of advice for someone who might have to hit the roads later today, how they can stay safe out here?
Well, both as a regular driver in this area and as a fan of car crash collection videos, slow down. I mean, it's so simple and it sounds idiotic, but you just got to slow down and give yourself a chance to be able to react when somebody else does something silly or stupid. You can react. You can find a safe place to put your car. You can move out of the way. Use your brakes. Defensive driving. It sounds so silly, but it works. I mean, you can see things develop in front of you and people not paying attention while you're driving. And as you get into a situation, the moment you kind of guess what everybody's doing. What's that person's motivation? What are they doing? And if you can get ahead of them and you can figure it out, drive defensively. Yeah, you're going to be 10 minutes later getting home, but you're going to get home safe. And that's my kind of suggestion for the day.
Well, there you go, straight from the man himself. Now we're going to continue to drive around and experience these roads, and we'll get you on the ground reporting when we see any damage across the area.
Thanks so much, Michaela. Stay safe out there. And of course, take it easy, like Kurt said. You don't want to be one of those folks causing more issues than you need to. We'll check in with you guys in just a little bit. But like Kurt described, kind of those just infrequent gusts of wind is what we're going to be tracking here over the next couple of hours. Now, as this primary line of storms does move through, that's when you'll see the prolonged strong wind for a brief period of time, because like we've been saying, these storms are moving quickly to the north and east, about 55 miles per hour. So the weather might get a little dicey for a brief period, but then it is going to be out of here before you know it. And I was keeping an eye on some kind of behind the scenes radar data when Michaela was giving us her report. And the good news is these storms, while still powerful, while still packing a lot of wind, are looking to weaken a little bit. They still have strong wind within that primary line that we're stretching from parts of western Maryland down along 95, but gusting generally 25 to 35 miles per hour with some occasionally stronger wind gusts. That's exactly what we're seeing in this severe thunderstorm warning, and why this severe thunderstorm warning was issued for parts of Prince William and Stafford County. You can see Fauquier is now out of it, and in fact, really this is about to expire here in just about 15 minutes, but I think before it does so, the storm is going to be out of that warning box that you can see ends just to the north of Quantico. You can see the heavy rain approaching Dale City. This is also where we're seeing some of that really strong wind gusting generally 55 to 60 miles per hour where we have the warning. Elsewhere, the wind isn't as significant, but still definitely noticeable, like you heard Kurt mention there just a little bit ago. So we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1 o'clock. That's the only warning we have on the map right now, but still some really strong storms for areas stretching even north of this. You can see kind of giving you that wider perspective. Still watching two pieces of energy. It's not that one solid line, rather some stronger storms stretching for areas back into Frederick County, moving out of Loudoun County right now, but you'll start to see some of those heavier downpours and gusty winds just barely clipping northern Montgomery County, Leesburg. You still have some of that moderate to heavy rain, but the worst of that rain is back into Frederick Frederick, where you see that shading of orange and red on the map. That includes Tuscarora, back into Lewistown, parts of Montgomery County, Damascus. You have the moderate downpours, but not much in terms of wind right now. Along 270 from Germantown into Rockville, you see plenty of yellow on the map indicating moderate to occasionally heavy rain, and that's what we've been tracking in and around the metro area for now. But we're continuing to see some of those conditions deteriorate from Reston down into Fairfax, where you see that shading of orange and red indicating not only the heavy rain, but the gusty wind. That kind of solid line is our best indicator of where we're seeing potentially damaging wind right now. We're talking gusting generally 25 to 35 miles per hour, but locally stronger wind gusts are possible within this line. And we're also keeping a close eye on any kind of kinking in the radar. That's what we're watching in terms of the tornado threat today. We saw exactly that down into Richmond just a little bit ago. These are not going to be significant long track tornadoes, rather brief spin ups that are possible within this primary line of storms. And while this is about to expire at 1 o'clock this afternoon, that's still a pretty powerful line from Chantilly down into parts of Fauquier and Prince William County. You can see Dale City down through Quantico and Stafford back into Fairfax. You're kind of seeing the brunt of this wind right now. So we'll give you a wider perspective and kind of track out this line as it continues to move off generally to the east-northeast really quickly around 55 miles per hour. So we'll stretch it all the way down into where we have that severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for parts of Prince William and Stafford County, but we'll take this all the way across the bay, moving into D.C. here in just about 20 minutes. That's when you'll notice the rain pick up, the wind ramp up. La Plata, you'll start to see these storms closer to 1:15. They're into Baltimore by 1:30, Annapolis by 1:50. Now, we do still have the severe thunderstorm warning, rather, down into Richmond, but no more tornado warning. That is good news there. It wasn't in effect for all too long, but always good to see those warnings drop and not see more behind them. But what we're going to be watching really carefully here, of course, once these storms move through, is what happens back here. You see some clearing from rain, but the question is, can we clear those clouds out? And if we can, we could be watching a second round of strong and severe storms later this evening. Now, the threat there is really going to be for parts of western Maryland, West Virginia, northern Virginia along the I-81 corridor, but there's just not going to be enough time to really clear skies out significantly enough in and around the metro area to juice the atmosphere back up to be able to support those strong and potentially severe thunderstorms. So this is right around 1:30, those storms moving through the metro area, and Futurecast looks a little overdone here. Like we just showed you on radar, the line's a little bit more broken, but still producing heavy rain and strong wind. By 3 o'clock, we'll still be tracking some rain in and around the metro area, so I hope the kids have the rain gear for when they get off the bus stop this afternoon. Still tracking the stronger storms kind of on the tail end down into parts of Charles, Calvert, St. Mary's County, into parts of the northern neck. But notice, here comes that second round of storms. And again, it's going to be largely dependent on whether we can clear skies out. If the clouds hold tough, there's not going to be a lot of instability. These storms won't be able to do much. But if we see some more heating throughout the day, a little bit more humidity move in, because mind you, we've got a southerly wind. That is a moist wind that's going to continue to decrease the stability in the atmosphere throughout the afternoon, but really keeping a close eye out for that sunshine or lack thereof. Now, if we do see some sunshine, this is right around 5, 6 o'clock. So if you are traveling west for your evening commute home, you'll have to watch out for these storms. They won't be nearly as organized as what we've seen move through so far and what's moving through right now. They'll be more scattered in nature, but potentially just as potent. We'll be watching for some small hail in that second round of storms, because this line is actually moving ahead of the cold front. The storms right now are well ahead of it, but this is right around 7 o'clock. You can see the front because the wind will start to shift directions by 7, 8 o'clock. Wind coming in from the west for areas like Cumberland and Romney, while most of the area will still have that prevailing southerly wind. But as that front continues to advance this evening, you'll notice the wind shift coming out from the north and west. This is right around 9, 10 o'clock. Still potentially tracking some stronger storms into the evening. Of course, once the sun sets, we lose the heating of the day. That also always helps stabilize the atmosphere. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. I did just hear a ding come through on my phone, so I want to keep an eye on what that is. And it is a new severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll take you back to radar and show you where that was issued. My guess is it was an extension of the warning. that we had? Nope, it wasn't. They actually trimmed that one back even more. Now it just includes Prince William County, but that new warning is down into, it looks like, Westmoreland County. So we'll give you a closer look there. Yeah, in effect for parts of Westmoreland, Richmond, King and Queen, and Essex County until 1:30, and it's for that line that's kind of just barely within our region. It's going to move into Newland here relatively shortly. Looks like just back off to the west of that. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of King William, Richmond, Henrico, and Chesterfield. That's actually the area where we also had that tornado warning not too long ago. So I'm going to step off camera for just a minute. I'll give you a wider perspective here of radar. I do just want to look at one radar product that's a little bit more reliable on our computer just to make sure we're not seeing any rotation within that new warning. And it does not appear that way. More straight line winds. So winds still gusting up to about 60 miles per hour possible in that new severe thunderstorm warning as well. Looks like they will end up expiring the warning there in Prince William County at 1 o'clock. Though still a really powerful line of storms, I should say, stretching from Fairfax down into parts of Prince William County. Really dicey along 95 right now, down toward Dale City, Quantico, Stafford. Moving into Nanjemoy, we have the really moderate to heavy rain and also those gusty winds. This is going to be kind of our best potential to see damaging wind here throughout the day today. Stafford and Fredericksburg, you're in the clear, but Charles, Calvert, St. Mary County, you still have to get through these storms. So we'll take you back to Futurecast and continue with what we're tracking for the rest of the day. But round one, for the most part, out of here by 3, 4 o'clock. Round two, shortly behind it. This is right around 5, 6 o'clock. We'll still be tracking some of those scattered, strong to possibly severe thunderstorms, but that severe potential largely dependent on what happens here once that first round moves out. But this is right around 7, 8 o'clock. You can still see a few isolated storms will be on the map. By 10 o'clock or 11 as you're checking in with Topper, I do still think I'll have some showers, but that's kind of the last of it for this evening. And notice off to our west over toward the Alleghenies, yeah, we're going to flip over to snow. We have a winter weather advisory in effect for parts of our far western area for some of that blowing snow that will continue to pick up later on tonight and last into Thursday rather, with a really gusty wind. It's going to usher in colder temperatures. Now, not that cold for most of us, but in the higher elevation, they will see a brief flip over to snow. So we do have the severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. That's for Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's County, Westmoreland County, the northern neck, and points south, because that's really where the greater threat for severe weather is. But like I've been saying, I think anyone has the potential to see a severe thunderstorm warning today. The chance is just a little bit greater off to the south. So don't let your guard down just because you don't see where you live under a severe thunderstorm watch. You could still see severe weather and certainly could still see damaging wind. We also have a wind advisory in effect in and around the metro area, up and down 95, parts of the Blue Ridge. That's for winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour, but kind of similar to how the severe thunderstorm watch isn't in effect for everyone. I think this could be in effect for the entire area. I think anyone is at risk of seeing those winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour, which is enough to cause power outage issues, down trees. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that throughout the afternoon. Our crews will respond to any issues that we see arise, whether it's from the wind. That's our biggest concern. Some heavy rain could cause localized street flooding, but thankfully these storms are moving just so quickly to the east northeast around 50, 55 miles per hour that the flooding risk is pretty low. Our greatest concern will be that wind. So this is right around 2 o'clock, and I think this looks a little overdone. I don't think we're going to see those widespread winds gusting 40 to 50, possibly 55 miles per hour, but a few isolated gusts possible as that line moves through. That's really the biggest concern, and why that wind advisory is only in effect until 4 o'clock, because it's still going to be blowing this evening, just not that strong. The risk for damaging wind will diminish as we head throughout the second half of the day. But this is right around 5 o'clock as you're tuning back in with us on WUSA 9. We'll be tracking winds gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour. You can see that little bit of a lull for areas off to the west, but then this is 10 o'clock and that cold front starts to approach. So wind starts to pick back up for parts of western Maryland from Oakland into Cumberland. And then as we head through the overnight, we catch a little bit of a break, as you oftentimes do overnight. Whenever you lose the heating of the day, you just kind of lose some of those wind dynamics. But then by the time we get to Thursday, this is 1 o'clock, winds cranking once again. Not damaging, but noticeable for sure, gusting anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour. Another bout of stronger wind does look to pick up later Thursday night. This is 6 o'clock, gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour, some 40 plus mile per hour gusts closer to the mountains. And then even into Friday morning, it's going to stay breezy. You're going to notice the wind all the way through the end of the week. And of course, the drop in temperatures. This is a potent cold front after all. Temperatures will drop from the mid 60s today to the low 50s on Thursday, which really is right around average. So not too bad as we close out the week. In fact, by Friday, yes, there will be a little bit of a breeze, but we'll have nice sunshine to enjoy. Now we have another weak front moving in on Saturday. That could bring us a few scattered showers in the morning, but we salvage a really nice Saturday forecast with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Plenty of sunshine. We are going to lose that hour of sleep into Sunday morning. Daylight saving time begins, but that means by Sunday evening, our sun won't set until 7:09. And as we look ahead to next week, a real sign of spring. We're back in the mid to upper 60s by Tuesday, and long-range guidance hints at multiple 70-degree days as we head into next week. So we have that to look forward to, but the storms to get through today. We'll give you one more look at radar here before we leave you. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for just a few more minutes. That's for Prince William County. And we're still watching kind of two main pieces of energy here. The strongest is moving through parts of D.C. right now, or the metro area over toward Fairfax. It's going to move into the Beltway here relatively shortly. So from Rockville down into Fairfax, you have not only the heavy rain, but the really gusty wind. This is where we still have kind of the remnants of that severe thunderstorm warning, that straight line wind that's moving into Charles County from Nanjemoy back toward Potomac Heights, moving just to the east of 95. You still have some moderate to occasionally heavy rain and the strongest wind moving through as well. But the big question here again is going to be what happens over the next several hours. You can see the back edge of rain there through parts of western Maryland and northern Virginia. We're going to hope that clouds actually stick around. That will keep the severe weather threat at bay for later this evening. But really, I would say give it another hour or two. And the worst of this weather is going to be moving east of the bay. We'll still have some showers around for the afternoon. It's still not going to be a nice day, and your evening commute will likely be a little bit slower because of the rain, but the severe weather risk will clear out of here. We also still have some of those stronger winds back into parts of Montgomery County, like we just showed you in Rockville, Germantown, Leesburg. You have some heavy rain, and back toward Frederick County as well. We're going to keep an eye on these storms throughout the day today. Of course, we'll bring you more updates streaming whenever conditions warrant. We'll see you back on WUSA 9 Plus at 2 o'clock, and we'll have live cut-ins on WUSA 9 throughout the day today. Stay safe.